I do. I do only use the term woke ironically. I can't stand when anyone uses it seriously.
I don't feel like I've ever heard anyone use it seriously.
Mate.
It's because you don't get into enough internet arguments, obviously.
Get woke.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam. Alright.
Hello everyone, welcome to Sunday Jamz with Joe, Shak and Sam, where we exchange the songs we've been listening to the most this week and then chat about them. So, let's chat.
My song this week was Danny Brown's Hell For It off his latest album, Atrocity Exhibition. Everyone's been going mad for it. It's like coined new genre terminology, post-hip-hop, all kinds of industrial shit. People are loving it.
True.
I don't think anyone expected it coming from shit like Blunt After Blunt on his earlier albums. It feels way more
Experimental.
I'm not gonna say intelligent, but a little bit more focused and less silly and wacky.
More serious project, I suppose.
Yeah. Like a lot of the set tracks feel like monologues about how he feels about the industry or how he's feeling after taking drugs, like on
White
Lines and Pneumonia and shit like that. But yeah, banger.
Is conscious hip hop the right term for when he's talking more about the industry and shit, or?
Oh yeah, I guess. Anything conscious hip hop just means anything that's talking about.
But when people say conscious hip hop, they think of like atmosphere and shit like that. Kind of cheesy.
It's anything. No, I don't think so. I think it's anything that's just anything that's talking about an issue that's serious in any way.
Yeah,
like
societal
To
issues.
Pimp a Butterfly would definitely be considered conscious.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
My man J. Cole.
Yeah, J. Cole's
4 out of 10.
conscious. He's, in my opinion, the kind of cheesy side of conscious hip hop.
Right.
Get woke, my dudes. Conscious hip hop. So, what you got to say about this slapper of a track, Sam?
Slapper.
Take it off.
Right. That's what I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
The beat was the first thing that I felt myself drawn to. I'm a sucker for anything that uses a piano, really. I love the atmosphere that the instrumentation created, that piano with the subtle percussion and bass.
Dank reverb.
Yeah, in the background. Thought it created quite a tense atmosphere, especially when the bass modulation became more apparent during the hook, which itself is quite memorable. I think Brown's got a good flow. Some of his bars are well written, and as much as I like his descriptions of his personal struggle with bars like "In the kitchen with my uncle, beat the pot like a piñata, baraka with the product." Yeah, that made me laugh. I was more interested in his thoughts on the current hip hop scene, where he calls out Iggy Azalea in particular, and comments on how he feels like genuine musicianship, etc., isn't as valued as it once was, or it should be now.
He's definitely one of those real hip hop fags, 100%. You can see in his interviews.
Oh, right.
He definitely subscribes to the whole "there is a real way of making hip hop" type thing.
That is a shame.
Which I do not subscribe to, but some people do.
Yeah.
Some people believe music to be more of a meritocratic rather than just a preferential industry. But continue.
Yeah, overall, I like the track. The only thing I thought was a bit contentious about it maybe was Danny's voice itself. I thought it was
That's
like,
just something you've got to get to grips with
Yeah.
if you listen to Danny Brown.
I just thought it was borderline annoying at times, just
Yeah.
because of how nasally it is.
It's a very divisive element of Danny Brown, and you can't really blame anyone for not wanting to listen to him when he does that voice. You know,
Yeah.
he must do it with knowledge that it's gonna turn a bunch of people off because
Yeah,
you know.
and that's
pretty
fine.
fucking
Like,
weird.
it's not bad. It's just like completely preferential.
It's like it's a double-edged sword because it's so recognizable and memorable, while at the same time turning people off. It probably makes up for the people it turns off with the extra amount of people it
Yeah.
attracts.
Yeah.
Yep.
At the very least, it was interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
I
different.
love the whole album is ridiculous in my opinion.
I tried listening
Is it-
to it earlier this year, I think, and I wasn't so hot on it, but I might give it another go.
I'd say it's a bit too left field for you, Sam. I wouldn't expect you to like it. I mean, considering you're not really into hip hop, to listen to something like Atrocity Exhibition, that's very far from like, regular hip hop that you'd start on.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
wouldn't recommend it to you personally.
Fair enough.
To someone
Maybe
who was really into hip-hop.
Later down my hip hop hole.
Shall I get into it?
Yeah, shoot.
Okay. So, if any of you who are watching this video happen to see my end of the year list, which I assume most of you did not, because you wouldn't give a shit. But if you did, then you would know that Atrocity Exhibition was definitely one of my favorite albums of the year. Top five easily. And it doesn't really have a bad song on it, in my opinion. It's one of those great albums that's great because it's consistent rather than because it has these massive peaks and then like excusable lows. It's a very consistent album, in my opinion. So although Hell for It isn't one of my absolute favorites on the album, it's still a good song for sure. So yeah, in this song we get kind of like a vivid ghetto narrative kind of feeling in the track, which is probably only more potent in a track like Tell Me What I Don't Know, which is very much embracing that kind of ghetto narrative style. But he does it quite a bit in this song also. There's a lot of lines, as the one Sam said, and there's quite a lot of lines in this that clearly are talking about his struggle coming up in the ghetto, etc., etc. If you listen to hip hop, you've not to belittle his experiences, but you've kind of heard it all before. It's kind of it's the usual stuff. In terms of his delivery in this song, I'd say it's somewhere in the middle. So in this album, he goes from extremely erratic, like on songs like When It Rain, which is a very like off the wall delivery, to very kind of placid in songs like Tell Me What I Don't Know, where he's basically just rapping like a normal rapper with no kind of eccentricity in his delivery at all. The tone's still hitting the kind of higher registers, it's still his signature nasally sounded higher pitched delivery, but it's more constrained in the traditional rap verse structure than it often is. It's not kind of flying off the bars like it does on other songs on the album. In terms of his rapping performance, I don't think this is the highest high, but it's probably one of the most interesting beats on the album, and that says a lot considering the batshit crazy beats that this album has to offer. Verses consist of basically just bass and piano. The multiple layers of piano is very off-kilter and sporadic, and then the bass kind of fills the background. Where I really love the beat is how it sounds in the chorus. It gets very noisy and dissonant, with kind of glitchy synths. Kind of feels a bit Death Grips-esque when it gets to the chorus, and you get that sound, those sounds coming in. The bass becomes even more present and tonal, and the layers of piano just kind of continue on doing the same thing they were doing before. The beat isn't busy or overbearing, but it's quite bare bones compared to the rest of the album especially. But I think it really works. So yeah, overall, I think it's a good song. The beat is definitely the highlight. It's not one of my favorites just because I think he raps better on some of the other tracks. plays about with his flow more on some of the other tracks. It's kind of like a conservative delivery from Danny Brown on this song, in my opinion. So it's not that's the main reason why I say it wasn't one of my favorites on the album. But in terms of the beat, I really love the beat, and it's still a really good track. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. So do you want to round it off, Joseph?
Yeah. In regards to what Shakeel said about it sounding, about his rapping maybe not being as like extravagant or like it's tame for what he's capable of. I feel like that goes with just how straight-faced and serious the song is compared to his like when he goes fully all out and crazy and starts mixing it up. I feel like that comes with just how tense and cold and straight-faced the song is.
Yeah, but for me, I feel like although I agree that clearly that was part of the reason why, I think when he went really tame in like Tell Me What I Don't Know, I think that works even better because it's kind of like doesn't feel kind of weirdly in between the two polars of what he does. Like that's what I wasn't. It's just because it felt kind of like in between the craziness and the serious Danny Brown.
Yeah, this whole album kind of makes me feel. It kind of reminds me of how like when comedians go and do serious films, and it turns out they're actually really great actors, on top of being like actually really funny.
Yeah, that's a good
metaphor. Like Jim Carrey in Eternal Sunshine or Man on the Moon.
I get that.
He's actually really good. But
I get that.
It adds another dimension to the character.
Yeah, I definitely get that. So, this song is called Finally Peace by Swans. It's off their latest album, The Glowing Man. It's the last track on the album, so this is what takes us out. This is what rounds the album off. It's definitely the most, shall I say? Well, it's one of the most simple songs on the album. It's one of the shortest songs. You know, most of the songs on the album exceed like 12, 15, 20 minutes. So, you know, this is kind of like one of the most compact tracks on the album. I think there's like two other songs that are this compact. And yeah, it's I really love the song. I really love the album, and
it was your
that's
top
about
album for the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was my album of the year. Quite I listened to it very late into the year, so it kind of suddenly jumped to number one very quickly. Until then, it was Skeleton Tree, but then I listened to The Glowing Man and had to give it.
Still the best.
Still, it's very sick, but yeah. This was my only 9 out of 10 of the year. Everything else got an 8. Everything else, not everything else, obviously, but everything trailing it got an 8. So this
Corey
is
Feldman's Angelic to the core.
Big boy 8 out of 10.
Go for it. Absolutely. It's a classic.
But yeah. So it's the only album I'd say was amazing from last year. Personally, there was some very great ones, but this one was a really incredible album in my opinion. And yeah, that's about it, I suppose.
Continuing on from what Shakeel said about this being the last song on the album, isn't this also their last album? So it's rounding off their career.
Is it their last ever album? It's definitely.
I'm pretty sure I heard that it's their final album as a band.
Okay, because I know it's the last of this trilogy they've been doing lately with The Seer and To Be Kind.
Yeah.
It might also be their last album, full stop. Yeah.
I'm not that familiar with Swans. I've only listened to the one album, White Light from the Mouth of Infinity. Was that from like early 90s?
That's definitely one of their more early albums.
91? Yeah.
91.
I wasn't huge on that, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm not that big on it.
But it was. I preferred the vocals in this setting. You know, the that deep gothic sounding vocal. I don't know the singer's name, but
Michael Gira or something like that, I think.
My man Michael.
Yeah.
Sounded good on this. It was nice to hear his voice in like this upbeat sounding instrumental. It sounds all like chanty and folky, and there's like this this nice choir vocal that comes in, repeating "The Glory Is Mine." I think it is.
Yeah.
And it just builds and builds on top of that. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I wasn't massive on it, but I like the build. I like how the song's put together. I like the vocals and the choir. I like the refrain and the repetition of "The Glory Is Mine" and everything.
Is there anything?
Let's say again.
I was gonna say, is there anything you actively dislike to stop you being kind of wowed by it?
I don't think there is anything I actively dislike.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like if I listened to this on an album, it wouldn't be one of the standout tracks to me.
Right. Yeah.
You felt
But
like
I did enjoy it.
a bit more serviceable than outstanding.
Or maybe if I listened to it in the setting of the rest of the album, it might stand out more.
Yeah, it was one of my. I was kind of I was a bit like hesitant to decontextualize the kind of closing track of such a kind of like cinematic, grandiose feeling album, because it kind of, in a sense, I suppose it doesn't do justice to it. But I mean, I really like the track by itself, so I thought it was
especially as the song's called like "Finally Peace." It's like what came before this.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of context to this song in terms of the album, but I couldn't pick the album. So
the piano bit at the end was really weird. It lasts like a second and a half.
Yeah,
it's like a really abrupt ending. It was kind of nice how it builds and then just drops to that.
Well, I think when because I turned it up really loud when I was listening to it this time, and I think there is a really quiet piano always lingering in the background. And
maybe
just at the very end, it's the first time you can
like left.
Hear it. Yeah.
That's kind of cool. It's like them finally emerging out of the other side of the noise that was the music that is the whatever they have got peace from.
Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah, man. That's what an English degree does to you.
Beautiful articulation.
What can I say? But yeah, powerful drums, nice keys. As it kind of toned down a bit before the final build, which was nice. Cool song.
I can't remember if Joe said this exactly, but the track does sound exactly like what it is, an album closer. Or at least it feels like it would be very apt to put it there. I think describing the track as like an ascent is the way to properly describe it. Whether it is them trying to describe like their ascent from the noise of their career or whatever, if this is their last album. I thought the song was good. Not the best track of its ilk that I've heard. It kind of reminded me of a low track that you recommended earlier.
Sunflower?
Yeah, it reminded me of that in some ways. I think that might have just been the way that the voices complemented the instruments at the time. But in terms of it being an ascent, I feel like, to go back to Skeleton Tree, the ascent that I felt while listening to a track called Distant Sky, I know it's not quite the same lyrical content or the same vibe, but I felt like that kind of feeling of ascent and it being glorious to a certain extent was captured much better on that track than it was here. That said, though, I do like it. I like the various layers that are put on the track. There's an introduction of I can't quite tell what it is, like a high-pitched screeching instrument in the background that starts to enter the track when the lyrics finish, and then eventually the voices fade away into the background of the music, and I like the very subtle fade away in that. Yeah, it's a good track. I think perhaps it might mean a bit more, as we've already discussed, if we heard it in the context of the album. But yeah, it was all right.
Now, it is known that I have a very strong fetish for male-female harmonies.
It is known.
It is known, especially when done right. Sometimes I can hear a male-female harmony, I'm like, that's shit. don't care. But when it's done really nice,
When it
really
ticks
on
the
point,
box.
it just ticks my box.
Yeah.
It ticks my inner box. Absolutely. So, you know, when it's done right, I love it, and boy, is this done right.
Boy,
Boy,
my
this is done
longest
right.
yeah boy ever.
That was a short boy. I can do a longer boy upon viewer request, but you're only getting the short one for now.
Hit
Yeah,
25 subscribers, we'll do a longest yeah boy.
I'll do a very long boy, but for now you're getting short ones.
Boy.
So, I find it quite hard to pick out the specific individual sounds on this piece because the vocals and the drums are so domineering in the track, you know, especially the first like 3.5 minutes, like the whole build up, like the vocals and the drums just like take center stage completely. And I like this. I think it's good because everything else is there to fill out the atmosphere and basically make sure every brick is in place in this wall of sound. So, you know, to remove the other instruments would be to lose the power and the meat of the song. No, forget that. To remove the other instruments would be to lose the power of the song, but the meat of the song is really in the vocals. So, yeah, I feel like even though it feels like the vocals and the drums are all powerful in the song as it builds up, it's really a symbiotic relationship between the two, and I really don't think you could remove one. I really don't think one is less important than the other in achieving what the song achieves. The various layers and how they play off one another. Michael Guerra's vocals with the woman's vocals, whomever the woman is, I'm not sure. It's not Jerobi, the regular Swans woman, but it's another woman. Don't know who she is, but whoever she is, the way her vocals and Michael Guerra's vocals play off one another, especially with the kind of amount of layers in the songs, is just really, really nice. Especially when the Glory is Mine bit comes in, that whole loop when they sing that over and over again like a mantra, because it's delivered in all these various ways by the woman in the background. So you have the kind of central delivery, you know, the kind of main track where you have Michael Guerra and you have the woman and they're singing the Glory is Mine, the Glory is Mine, the Glory is Mine. But then between each of those, you get the woman doing these kind of semi ad-lib deliveries of the line where she kind of changes her vocal melody, you know, changes her tone slightly, sings it in a slightly different way, and you just get this nice subtle variation when this bit comes in. And I really love this quality in music. That's when there's kind of like small variations amongst a greater pattern. It's something that I favor a lot, and I think that's something that we can say, if you've listened to The Glowing Man, is definitely a kind of not pattern. It's kind of like not trope. That's also a terrible word. Like, it's just a quality. It's like a quality of the album. Like, it's in most of the tracks. There's a lot of repetition in this album. There's a lot of it's very mantra-esque, just the album in general, and you get a lot of these kind of smaller variations that fall out of this bigger repeating thing in the song, the kind of center point of the song, which is this usually this repeating line or whatever, and you get these small variations that come out of it. So yeah, I think this song is I think it's definitely better when you hear it at the end of the album, no doubt about that. But I think I really love the song, even by itself. I really love the song. It's very grand, very epic, and I really love the female harmonies. I think they work perfectly. Great song, probably one of my favorite songs of the year, up there at least. You know, it'd be in the top 10, top 20 probably. Yeah, really love it.
I would say something I forgot to actually mention when I gave my opinion on the track. It was nice to hear Swans in a more uplifting light, because the only real tracks I've heard from Swans are from the beginning of the album with the crying baby as the album cover.
Right. To be kind, yeah. To be kind.
And like that was definitely the complete opposite in terms of spectrum of the spectrum, in terms of it just made me feel full of dread. But yeah, it was nice to hear some variation.
Yeah, it's definitely a more optimistic song than what you might expect from Swans. Maybe that is because it's the closing track of their entire career, and they want to go out on a kind of lighter note, more positive note, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's a
Cool.
I recommend as I said before, it's my album of the year, so of course I highly recommend the album to anyone who wants to check it out.
My track this week was Waiting for the Sun by The Doors from the album Morrison Hotel. I grew up with The Doors. My mum and my dad are big fans. And I picked this track in particular from this particular album because whilst I feel like LA Woman and the self-titled album from The Doors are widely celebrated, I feel like stuff like Morrison Hotel, whilst it's still recognised, is often just kind of forgotten in the shadow of the other two albums. And so I really like this album and I like this track, so I picked it.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good track. There was a nice reverby, echoey guitar as the main lick, and then that kind of fuzzy, unclear electric guitar that comes in and out during the verses. At the end of each, I don't know, 4 bars or however long it is. At the end of each kind of run of the verse, you get that kind of explosion of instrumentation with the kind of fuzzy guitar and stuff. And I really liked all of that. I liked all the tones of the guitars, especially, was something that I favoured in the track. Jim Morrison's vocals on point as usual, as you'd expect. Very melancholic, very pain-filled, but still subtle, not dramatic. The chorus sounded almost Canterbury-esque. The vocals were a lot darker, but the instrumentation in the chorus, it was quite single notey, and I don't know, it felt a bit lighter than everything else. When we get to the kind of middle part, that whole waiting for you to come along, that refrain around the middle, it's a really good kind of towering point at the center. It's really kind of powerful emotional explosion in the middle of the song that works really well. It's definitely one of my favorite parts of the song. Then you get the little bridge after that, and that goes back into the verse, and then you have the kind of new guitar lick that comes in for a bit. It's kind of a bit more full. It kind of permeates the whole of that next bit after the bridge. Then it kind of goes back to normal. You've got the regular verse and the regular chorus to kind of take you out in the song. So I really like the way it kind of towers in the middle, but on either side of the middle part of the track, it's kind of this similar dynamic. But you have this really nice refrain in the middle that breaks it up, and is actually the high point of the track. If I had to choose a weak point, it'd probably be the chorus, just because it kind of doesn't fit the rest of the song a little bit in terms of the mood. It feels a bit too glimmery and adventure sounding. I don't know. There's something about the way the instrumentation's done that reminds me of that 70s prog feel type thing, and it had a really tight atmosphere everywhere else in the song. And it just didn't seem to fit. But it's not to say it's a bad chorus. It's still a good chorus. It was just I had to choose a weak part of the song. It'd probably be that. But yeah, still a great track. And yeah, that's it really.
I know you've listened to the debut of The Doors before. Have you listened to this album or any of the other albums?
No, I've only listened to the Doors self-titled album.
Yeah.
Yeah, so makes me want to check out the album, to be honest. Yeah, because I really like the song. So yeah, makes me more keen to go through more of the Doors, because I kind of just listened to the one album a few times and haven't really explored them in depth more than that.
What did you think of the first album?
I think the first album's really good. Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great album.
I've been meaning to listen to The Doors for ages. My brother got me their debut album on vinyl
Nice.
a while ago, and I still haven't properly gone through it. But I'm aware of some of their more famous songs, including this song. I'd heard it before, but hearing it again reminded me that I really, really enjoy it. It's my favourite song this week of the three. Well, of the two that aren't. Well, of the three. Yeah, I'd say of the three. Maybe. Yeah, of the three. I basically just agree with a lot of what Shakeel said. I like the sound of the guitar, that really southern, bluesy. It almost reminds me of like C6 Steve and certain White Stripes songs, and that Jack White sound. It's nice. I like all the like glittery like synths. They're like a.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the keyboards.
Yeah, I like that. The bass line's sick from the get-go. Yeah, I'm just listening to it again right now. Sounds good. Yeah, I like the repetition of the waiting and everything. It just sounded really good, and I like the whole feel, the 60s, 70s feel. Just I really enjoyed a lot. Jim Morrison sounds sick.
Yeah, so like I said, been listening to The Doors for ages. This is one of my favourite tracks from Morrison Hotel, but the album itself is full of tracks that I easily could have just gone, yeah, I can pick that, and I'm pretty sure it'll get a positive response. One of the things you've highlighted is this contrast between the thin-sounding guitar versus the heavily distorted guitar, and I really like how the music plays to Morrison's delivery. So he'll say a line with the thin guitar in the background, and then as almost like a bridge between lines, you'll get that really, really nice riff with the distorted guitar, the drums, and the keys all kind of playing to the same beat, if that makes sense. Yeah, I can't say much more than what you guys have already covered. It's a great track. If you like the track, definitely check out the album and check out The Doors as a whole.
In the verse, is that a guitar or a keyboard?
It's both. If you listen closely, it's like the is a guitar, but there's also a keyboard playing at the same time.
Yeah, I missed that. That was the key. That was a keyboard. Sounded like just a guitar with reverb.
Yeah, that's what I like about Ray's keys, in that he can be quite creative in terms of their sound as well as his playing.
Thanks everyone for listening. If you guys listen to the song, no. Okay, well, let me just go straight off. Thanks everyone for listening. If you guys listen to the songs, what did you think of them? What have you guys been listening to this week? Let us. I shouldn't say you guys twice, should I? Yeah, I shouldn't. I'm deleting the guys out of the second one. So it's practice makes perfect, my friend. Thanks everyone for listening. If you guys listen to the songs, what did you think of them? What have you been listening to this week? Let us know. If you want to check out the playlist that contains all of our weekly selections since the first time we did this, and also if you want to listen to the tracks we just discussed, link to all those things will be in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and share this shit on your social media. Goodbye.
Great. Let's kick it off then. So this is my track. So let's get that intro.
Get jolly, fam.
Ooh.
Are you recording?
Yeah, a bit too jolly there. Yeah, I am.
Okay, good.
You want us to capture your fap on tape?
Yeah. Flap, flap.
Capture his fap on.